All right, well, that was fun. Big time, late season November conference battle, two good teams, and we knew we'd get their best, and I think we did. And I thought it was a really good team win for us. First half they did a nice job keeping the ball away from us, so we only got 4 true drives. I thought we ran the ball really well in the first half. We just never got in a rhythm, and so our passing numbers were down, but it wasn't because I didn't think we were functioning well, other than I think the story of the first half, we weren't good on offense on third down. We weren't good on defense on third down, didn't feel like. But credit our defense, even though they kept the ball and bled the clock, they held them to those field goals. Second half, I think offense was playing lights out. I mean, Preston was on fire. We were getting the one-on-ones because of how we ran the ball in the first half, and we were hitting them and almost scoring too quick to some degree. And, but when we needed to, that last drive, we were able to run the football to put the game away, bleed a lot of clock, hit the fade ball. It's tough on your defense. You're up 10, so we're playing really almost true prevent, and you're making them run a lot of clock, which ended up helping. You don't want them to score at all. And they made a nice play on the touchdown pass. They beat us on the route, but we recovered the onside kick and killed our rushing stats by running the clock out. That's okay, and just really happy to come away with a win.
Both you and Memphis came in with 8-2 records, so to come in here, beat a team like that on the road. What did this say about your team, both to the public and national perception, but also to you and the guys in your locker room? What did this say?
Well, I'm not worried about the national perception. I mean, I think we have a good football team, but I think we have a football team that's humble and understands how hard it is to win every week. And we've earned all 9 wins, and I think they know that, and I think they're going to enjoy it tonight, but they know we got a Navy team coming in next week that's always a problem. And so, I think we've respected everybody we played. It's good to win here. Look, I mean, we didn't say it one time to the team all week, but I think we all knew if we lose today, we're probably on the outside of a tiebreaker looking in. And so that's why this was big in case it comes to something like that, to be able to knock them out of it and keep ourselves in contention for it. And, for some reason they felt like they needed to talk a lot, and we just kind of let our pads do the talking.
Obviously, but Jordan Hudson, the late touchdown, for him to just kind of continuously find ways to get involved, to make a play like that finally the one time you're able to get distance.
Yeah, Jordan Hudson's, I think we all see the talent of what he's going to be here. And I'm really proud of him because the last 2 weeks, when Curley went down, we had that kind of 5-man rotation on the outside, and he had really started to click on the right side for us. But we had to move somebody over. And he was selfless and moved over to the other side. But now he's learning a totally different side in like 2 weeks, really 1 week last week. And so, the touch volume hasn't been what he wants, but the unselfishness has been there. So for him to go in and make that, one-on-one fade, which I think is going to be hard to cover him no matter who you put out there, to kind of almost seal the win for us, I think that was fitting because he's put the team before himself like so many of our guys have. And that's what's been special about this group is they've really embraced the team part. Like we said before the game, team over talk, and that's kind of how we want to play today.
Rhett, how impressed were you with that final scoring drive? You had scored quickly, but you were able, like you said, to run the clock.
There's no secret our defense is really good, and they've had a great year. And they made the critical stops in the first half to hold them to field goals when we needed it. And late in the game, in the fourth quarter, those 2 consecutive drives when we were up 3, they kept us ahead. But this was the game where our offense picked up the slack. And, you talk about when it was 10-7 them, the long 13, 14 play drive we had, almost exclusively running it to score and go up 14-10. Gives us the lead at half. But then to come out, the drive to start the second half, I think you saw Preston Stone grow up big time. We had back-to-back critical third down and conversions. One was like a 3rd and medium to 7 or 8. I can't remember. The other one was like 3rd and 12 or something, I think, after the sack. And he hit Jake down the middle on one and Mermello. That was a gutty drive that put us up 21-13, and you can't say enough about how the middle 8 worked, where we held them to a field goal before half. We scored a touchdown to start the second, momentum-wise. Now, they're a good team. They went right down and tied it up, and it was like 3 or 4 plays later, we're ahead. And, they go tie it up again, and then 3 or 4 plays later, we're down there. We had to settle for a field goal. But the way the offense responded, and then, but to your question, the long drive, I think it was 7 minutes or so when we got it, up 3. And the defense had just held them again, and to methodically move it down the field, run the clock, and finish it with a touchdown. It all but won the game for us, and I think that was just a big character-building drive for our offense. And I think the second half is where you saw Preston Stone make a big leap.
How big is that? I mean, he only had 8 pass attempts in the first half, and then to kind of say, to an extent, go win us the ball game, it's in your hands, and he does.
It's huge. I mean, you kind of felt like the way the game was going after that first drive in the second half that, I mean, they're a good offense. It's the 2 best offenses in our league probably for a reason, statistically, right? And so you knew we were going to have to score touchdowns, and while we were running the ball so well, like we were going to have to be explosive down the field in the passing game. And so, you know, we got aggressive, put it in his hands, and that's what you're going to have to do to win a conference title. You know, win games like this on the road late in the season to keep yourself in it. If we're fortunate enough to keep playing, like next week even, you know, he's going to have to make big plays in big moments, and to finish 15 to 23, 286, 2 touchdowns, and again, no turnovers. Like, he's playing aggressive and he's valuing the football, and you know, we're just playing really good team ball.
Curious about your thoughts of the job Garen Justice did. You were without Hiron White. You lost Marcus Bryant. Justin Osborne goes back out to tackle. You got P.J. Williams back after he missed last week. Just the job that group has done mixing and matching and keeping Preston in one piece.
Yeah, the O-line is the group that never gets any credit. You know, I think the Joe Moore Award people gave us a little shout-out this week as an honorable mention. I think that was deservedly so, and we appreciate that. But that group, Garen's does a fantastic job. And to your point, the next man up mentality. Last week it was J.O. going in at right tackle. We get P.J. back this week. We decided not to start him, but he was available, and then we lose Marcus. I want to say it was right to start the second half, but maybe I'm off on my timeline. And P.J. plugs right in there, and we don't miss a beat. We gave up 1 sack today. Was probably more on Preston than them. And then to run the ball, like I said, if we don't bleed the clock out, we were just probably 180, 190, it felt like. We had another 100-yard rusher. Can't say enough about those guys. It doesn't matter who's in, and I think our O-line is a good kind of like microcosm of our team. It's just a team. It don't matter who we throw it to. It doesn't matter who we hand it to. It doesn't matter who's in on defense. Guys just keep making plays, and they play hard for each other.
Jalen Knighton looked like he got hurt on that first carry, left, came back, looked like he might not play again. He gets another carry, and it's a touchdown.
Yeah, so I don't know if he got hurt on the first carry or on the second play, because he was in those 2 plays. You have a better idea than I do. But he came out after the second play, and it was an ankle. And so for a minute he was out. They were testing it. Then he was out, and then I don't know if they went and what they did to try to get him feeling better. And then late before half, they said he's back. At that point, LJ and Kamar were rolling pretty well. So I think Coach Hall did a good job of going with the 2 guys that were healthy and fresh. I don't think it's serious since he was able to come back. And we got to the second half, I think it loosened up and he was ready to go. So, you know, I'll find out from our training staff how serious it is. But the fact that he was able to come back and finish, and like you said, scored the touchdown on that 1 drive, I think he'll be okay.
LJ was dinged earlier in the year, but 115 yards today and second game in a row with over 100. Is he now the running back you thought you were getting when you added him?
Absolutely. I think you see how well all of our backs complement each other. And, you know, Kamar and Jalen have that explosiveness, that big playability that you need. You got to have guys that if it's block clean can take it to the house or be explosive and make a guy miss. But we always thought LJ would be a great complement to those guys as a guy who he gets downhill. He runs behind his pads, downhill. He leans on people. He breaks a lot of explosive runs, you know. And so when you can hand the ball 21 times to somebody for 115, you know, the 2 backs that took the bulk of the carries average over 5.5 yards a carry. Yeah, it's complementing each other the way we thought. And I think you see just the productivity and how he can be kind of a guy that closes you out in the second half of football games.
I certainly don't want you to get in any trouble for anything saying, but it seemed like there were some calls and some things that maybe Memphis wasn't doing and you weren't doing or doing to yourselves necessarily that came in big times. How big is it for the guys to kind of overcome that a little bit too?
Look, I'll say this, our officials are really good in this league. They do a great job. They're good people. Like, you talk to them before the games, during and after. They care about the league, the kids. They even let people like me chew on them when I don't like a call. And I think they do a good job of explaining why they made the calls they did. And you can appreciate that as a coach. We're all competing. They know that. Both sides are competing. We always want the calls to go our way. They're not always going to go your way. It's the human error, or not error, but the human element of sports. I'm going to make bad calls. Our kids are going to make you know. And so you got to live with it. And so I'm not worried about that. That is just part of playing on the road. You know, it's hard to win on the road with the crowd, the other team. I mean, and so I don't think we won or lost because of calls, and I don't think they'd say the same. And I appreciate how our officials handle themselves here.
You came in today, your conference victories, I think, averaged 30 points or something like that. But with the postseason coming up soon, I know you got Navy first, obviously. Did your team need a game like today where you had to go back and forth and sort of fight it down to the end?
I don't know if we needed one, but it was great to see how we respond when we get one. And it was. Especially, in the first half it was back and forth. Most of the second half it was back and forth until we finally put a 2-score margin up there. Again, they're a great team. They've proven that this year. Their only 2 losses were the top 25 teams. In my opinion, they've lost to a third, but I don't get to make those decisions. So, we needed to make plays when the game was on the line, and that was what was cool. I didn't see our guys flinch. I mean, just like the last few weeks, we knew we'd get their best shot. This was their chance to, if they beat us, now maybe they're in the driver's seat. If they lose, they're out, right? And so we got a great effort. Ryan does a good job with his team. I think he's going to do a good job here for a long time and in this league.
There have been some big games the last few years that SMU has played in. You mentioned the 19 day game here, but there really hasn't been one with this much on the line. How much kind of fun is it to be in these meaningful games and see these guys respond the right way
It's a lot of fun. It's the position we want our program to be in, right? And so, you work so hard to get in these moments, and then like in 2019 we were in one and it didn't go our way, right? And then, it felt like last year we still would have needed some things to go our way, but we go down to Tulane, and if we can win, then we're in the conversation that last week, and we don't play well. Right, same week of the season, on the road, big game. You saw what happened last year. You saw what happened this year. So I think it shows the growth of our program, what our coaches have done, what our players have done and bought into. And so we hope to be in this position more. And it was good to be in a game that was back and forth, and find a way to win.